We've also been speaking to experts from across the globe on the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict. Listen into what they've had to say.
I think from the Israeli perspective, they clearly want to utterly destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities. They certainly do not want to see Iran get nuclear weapons. So they have a ways to go there in terms of attacking Iranian nuclear facilities. In particular, there's one called Fordo, which is deeply buried, which they need to destroy if they want to make sure that Iran can't reconstitute its uranium enrichment program. The other thing the Israelis want to do, I think, is lay the conditions for some sort of color revolution in Tehran that would see the overthrow of the regime. And I think from the Israelis' perspective, they see the removal of the Iranian regime, a regime change in effect, as solving a whole number of problems in terms of security issues across the region.
My assessment is that this escalation and the response by the Iranians is something that the Israelis have planned for. And the purpose of this operation was to get the United States involved more deeply. And I would say that it appears as if President Trump has fallen into the trap that Benjamin Netanyahu has been attempting to set for most of his predecessors, which is to involve the United States in a wider war against Iran. And I think it's clear that Jerusalem Post, for example, reported cooperation and collusion between the United States and Israel prior to the attack. And I think the United States has taken the bait from President Netanyahu, hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I think Israel saw a closing window of opportunity to take these strikes. The proxies that Iran had armed in the region had been hurt badly. I think the negotiations between the United States and Iran were not progressing. Iran showed no signs of being willing to end the enrichment of uranium. In fact, we found out over the last few days that they are increasing their stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, not far from weapons-grade uranium. And then the Israelis had on the ground in Iran various kinds of operatives that they put in place for this strike. So I think in general, the Israelis felt that this was the time to go. They didn't see the Iranians backing down. And now we have to see whether this exchange over the last 24 hours turns into a wider war. I don't think it's going to stop here. Israel seems to indicate that this is an attack that will probably continue for at least several days.
You know, it's a lot easier to start a war than it is to decisively end the war on terms that are favorable for your side. I think that at this point, there is no single state that is in control of this situation. And that certainly includes Israel, and that includes Iran. I am not optimistic about de-escalation. I think we might be at the beginning of a war that carries on for quite a bit of time. I think that there will be certain actors, such as Russia, Qatar, maybe some others, who might try to play some mediation roles to try to de-escalate, find ways to open up dialogue through some back channels. But just to repeat, I am not optimistic about this conflict winding down anytime soon.
The reports that are coming out from the IAEA and other people that study non-proliferation have said that it is very clear that they're racing towards a bomb and the militarization of their highly enriched uranium. So there was the urgency there. It was really, they were up against the clock here. It was up against Khamenei's clock. So probably the conversation was made Netanyahu to Trump. Trump said, "Oh, give me a couple of months to try and work this out." I'm trying to balance a couple of other things that are going on in the world, such as Ukraine, and let's see where this goes. But I think at the end of the day, Trump was always going to revert back to his 2018, 2020 maximum pressure campaign against the regime.
The Israelis have relatively enormous capabilities militarily, strongest military in the region, one of the strongest, best trained, best equipped militaries in the world. And the Iranians have quite a few ballistic missiles at their disposal. The estimate was that Iran had more than 3,000 ballistic missiles. Some of those were degraded last October. More of them were hit again by Israel at the start of this attack. But if they've still got a couple thousand ballistic missiles, so far they've only fired little more than 200 at Israel, and we're already seeing damage inside Israel. Iran can overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome and David Sling and their other defense systems, and can inflict heavy damage in Israel. Israel can apparently inflict unlimited damage inside Iran.
And Iran launched retaliatory airstrikes at Israel with explosions heard in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Let's also listen to some of the reactions from the ground in Tel Aviv.
I don't know, we just got the Amber Alert. We ran to the parking lot -5, so five floors below the ground. We have a protective room in the apartment, but we decided to just stay low. Like after a few minutes, we just heard a very big explosion. Everything was shaking, smoke, dust, everything was all over the place. I thought it's smoke, and I'm getting suffocated. So I tried to go up. I opened the door in the ground floor, and I just saw shattered glass, all of debris around. So
the explosion was so big. I knew immediately it was right in this building because it was so huge. For me, it was clear that one of these two buildings got a direct hit. Really scary moments. I really hope everyone's fine. I'm praying for.
The incident site is a very, very complex one and poses a great challenge to Israel's firefighting and rescue forces. It is a high-rise building with 43 floors that took a direct hit on its eastern side. The impact spans from the 5th floor up to the 14th floor.
All right, this is tensions have continued between Israel and Iran. Of course, lots of developments that are coming in by the minute. It is a fast evolving situation. From what we do hear, Iranian news agency, quoting some senior Iranian military sources, has also said that the war will expand in the coming days, including strikes on US bases in the region as a decisive Iranian response. We know that Iran has been saying that the United States has been complicit. Now, we've also been trying to uncover what role the United States plays in this conflict in West Asia. That being said, US President Donald Trump had earlier said that he hopes that Iran would come to the negotiating table. However, some of the top officials have said that talks right now are meaningless, considering Israel carried out these preemptive strikes on Iran on Friday morning. Israeli military, on the other hand, says its air forces targeted Iran's air defenses with a wave of strikes in Tehran area overnight. IDF says that dozens of targets, including surface-to-air missiles and infrastructure, were hit. If you were to also talk about the casualties there, State TV has reported that 2 Iranian generals were killed in fresh Israeli strikes on military and nuclear sites. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.